Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are brought to you live from the Cruise into the Void ship on Channel 7. Ladies and gentlemen, today it is me and I don't have a name for you. What do I...
They're all over the place. Yeah, I'm still here. Still here. I'm Knuff, man. Nagy's Knuff.
All right, well, today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be giving you guys a cruise ship tier list of all of the Royal Caribbean ships this year, where they're going to be at, and basically which ones we think you guys should go on and which ones we think should hit an iceberg politely. And you should never go near that ship.
Yeah. The crew opinion on all these things. Let's hit it.
The crew...
So there's some very interesting aspects that I think we're going to either balance each other perfectly or completely disagree on for opinion on cruise ships. And I think the best way to go through it is just the ships alphabetically. We'll talk about the ships, why we like them or dislike them, where they're at, and kind of get into it. So, top of the list.
We're just going down them in alphabetical order. So, your first ship that we are going over today is going to be the Adventure of the Seas, a Voyager class, or Navigator class, a Voyager class ship, right?
We'll nail it. We'll get there.
Okay. Where is the Adventure going to be going this year? Also, Adventure has been updated, has gone through a couple dry docks, and is actually in a pretty good spot, updation-wise. They got all the good stuff.
6 to 8 night cruises, so that means it's going to alternate, obviously, 6 nights one cruise, 8 nights the next, so that it keeps balancing on those weekdays of the year. Going out of PCN, which is Port Canaveral.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah. So after leaving Florida, I have found that ships out of Port Canaveral and Orlando, like that whole area, are actually way more beneficial for the entire country. Like Orlando and that area are kind of like, I compare them to like Vegas now, where it's like anywhere in the country you can get to like Vegas or Orlando, and it's relatively cheap. But like trying to go back to like Port Canaveral in Miami can be a lot more difficult. So after leaving Florida, I am now way more fond of ships that actually go out of northern Florida than Port Everglades, like we've said, best port ever. But after trying to get back to it now, I'm like, dude, this thing kind of is like a bummer. There's way more connections versus like a direct shot. So right there already is going to put it like, I'm taking it into the middle to upper ones. 6 to 8 night Caribbean is usually nice. They're going to be nicer ports. Switching off east and west, you're going to get like a Labadee, Coco Cay, Cozumel, Jamaica. Like you're kind of getting that spread.
Okay. I agree with you. I think it's going to be in the middle somewhere, probably about B tier. If you can get a good deal on this cruise, it's going to be a great time. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I would say C, CB, maybe like a Kaba. Because again, it's got the update stuff like that. If there's a deal on it, I think like this one's gonna be like a cocktail. I think CB meaning like cocktail or beers. If you have one of those and then you see this ship, snag it. Because sober, you're kind of like, it's okay. You have that cocktail or beer, boom, you're booking it because it could be worth it then.
Okay, so what's your gonna final say? I say B tier. I think this is going to be a good cruise if you can find a good deal on it. And even if you can't find a good deal, you're not going to screw it up. That's a good run.
The Caribbean is a very great run wherever, because you're not spending so much time on the ship. You're enjoying those beaches. So I will concede B on this one.
Okay. All right. B tier for the Adventure of the Seas this year. Next one, we are going to go same area, but we're going to actually juice the ship up 20x to the Allure of the Seas. Where is the Allure going to be going most of this year?
So beginning of the year, it is going Well, I guess this is kind of like this is still ending 24. But anyway, it goes 3-4 nights Bahamas out of Miami, and then it's actually the Allure jumped to Europe for 7-night Western Mediterraneans, and then finished the year back with 8-night Eastern Caribbeans, and jumped over from Florida to Galveston. So this ship went everywhere.
Ooh,
Miami,
okay.
Barcelona, Florida, and Galveston.
I
So
was gonna put it in S until you said Galveston. That knocked it down to A for me. That knocked it down to an A tier ship.
yeah, yeah. So we've talked extensively about these ships, and yeah, to me, the Oasis class, especially after having Atlas, there's so much to do that you are partially going for the ship, whether you get off or not, could totally be up to each independent traveler. This one, like you said it's going out of Galveston. If you're trying to get there through Texas traffic and crap like that, like Godspeed, that definitely could knock it down one. And like Miami, same situation.
You have to
versus
fly
when
into Houston, and you have to drive from Houston to get to Galveston.
That's the only way to do it.
The only way to do it.
Jeez. Yeah.
Or
so like
if
that
you
right
live in
there,
Texas, now here's where it goes into S tier for anybody who lives in Texas, because you can drive to Galveston. If you don't live in Texas, you have to fly to Houston, then drive to Galveston. So that's painful.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So that's a 3-hour drive from like even just Austin, and you can add that up. But so if you're flying, yes, sometimes that can be a pain because it's like the worst way to start or end a vacation is a nightmare before even getting off the ship, or getting off the ship. And I always felt terrible for people that you're doing gangway, it's like 7 p.m. They're like, we're trying to get off our flights in 2 hours, and you're like, the airport's 2.5 away. Or like, even if it's an hour away, you're like, then you have to still check your bags. It's like, don't book your flights that morning. Don't try and rush. Like, I would rather kick it at the airport for an extra 2-3 hours than be stressing out leaving your vacation. And Galveston's a perfect example of you're trying to get to Houston on a weekend. So, like you said, that can drop it down a tier or two easy. However, going out of Fort Lauderdale, going to the Caribbean, really hard to mess up.
And the Allure has everything on it. It has everything. You're looking at flow riders. You're looking at water parks, Broadway level shows, Cirque du Soleil level shows, running at the same time with high divers. Every restaurant under the sun, giant kids area. I'm going to put the Allure at an A tier, minus Galveston.
Yeah, easy. Yeah.
If you book any trip on the Allure, you're going to have a good time, unless it's out of Galveston.
That's just like Chris's like nice little bane. I will concur with it for the most part because it's not wrong. Like I said, if that's not, yeah.
You don't even need to look for a deal. Just book it.
Yeah. That one, book everything because you will have a good time for it.
Yeah. All right. Next up, the Anthem of the Seas. Big fan of both those ships for us. We both were fans of working it and the time we spent on there. Where is the Anthem going out of this year?
Doing Singapore, Thailand. Well, we're finishing up the year, so this is kind of where it was. But again, generally ships stick to the same routine. But anyway, beginning of the year was Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia out of Singapore. Okay. Then it made its crossing over to 7 nights in Alaska, to Alaska out of Seattle. Nailed it first try. Then it's doing another repositioning from Seattle to Sydney and finishing with Australia, New Zealand.
Ooh.
So, absolutely phenomenal. Used to go out in Malaysia, get a half of like fried duck and a tiger beer for like $5. And then Seattle is one of the most amazing things. Any Quantum class ship doing the Alaska run, I say book it because the North Star, looking at the glaciers, looking at the fjords, whale watching, like that is never a bad time. That is a insanely unique experience. Same thing with 270. You're having breakfast, coffee. The sightseeing in that run is absolutely sublime. Repositioning. I mean, you've done a couple. They are difficult cruises for crew and passenger to spend 12 to 16 days on a ship with like 9 sea days in a row. And this is in the 21st century. This isn't even the 16th century. Like you're hauling at 25 miles an hour, grabbing a beer, cupcakes, and then going and watching a show, and people are still like on board. You're like, yeah, man, these are what 7 consecutive sea days look like.
Yeah. I mean, those crossing cruises are outliers. They're not happening consistently.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
Where would you stand the Anthem then? Based off of all this, I'm putting it at either A or S tier. Like, all of that sounds great.
A for sure. Yeah. Those ships are so amazing that they are A tier for me.
So, some A or S?
A. My vote would A. Like I said, I would only knock it down from S because once you do a lot of the things, I found it like more difficult to be like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah, but with all those ports, man, you're not going to run out of things. Like the only time you're going to run out of things is on the crossing, which are 3 to 6 total cruises. I think I'm going to go S tier with that itinerary, man.
Okay.
Because I genuinely think outside of those crossings, you are not going to screw up a single cruise that you pick on this ship.
No. Yeah, you're right. Like I said, both got pinpoint vision.
All right. Ooh, we are taking a big turn. The Brilliance. So Brilliance is Vision class, right?
Radiance class.
Radiance class. All right. So we're looking at a smaller ship then.
We are.
A drastically smaller ship.
These ones are about 1,800, 2,000 passenger count.
Okay.
Brilliance is doing 7-night Western Caribbean out of MYS. Western Caribbean on the smaller ships. This is where, again, all Caribbean ones are going to share that. They're going to either like St. Thomas, St. Martin. The Brilliance does not hit up Coco Cay or Labadee. Usually like the ABCs, so Aruba, Barbados, and Curacao. Those islands are phenomenal, especially for like food and drink when you're really getting into Caribbean ones. These small ships, there's not a lot to do. The shows are more, let's say, dated. Not going to be the crazy extravagance of tons of Cirque du Soleil and things like that.
MYS is New Orleans.
Oh,
that's a good port. Okay, so that's a good port.
That is. So it's a great starting port because you got, this is one of those ones where you're going on a vacation beforehand and maybe afterwards. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I love about Radiance classes is the windows. So you're in the Caribbean, absolutely phenomenal for just windows and things like that. It does. So that's for the beginning of the year. Then it jumps to 7 nights, Greece, Cyprus, Turkey out of Athens. Like, you cannot go wrong with that.
Yeah, but Athens in 2024, bud.
This is true. That is a very important thing of game recognition, of game awareness.
The last time I was in Athens, I was on a cruise as a guest. And a car bomb went off in the middle of our excursion, and we had to find a different way back to the ship. So
no way.
Kid you not.
Okay, yeah.
So right, I'm gonna knock that one down just for a safety purpose.
I mean, there's also the macabre theory that when there's things like that, that's like the best time to travel to those places. But that's gonna be to each their own. If you're bringing your family, you probably wouldn't do it. Like, I'm not gonna bring Atlas there. If it's like you and me are going on a trip, like, yo, Chris, it's stupid cheap flights to Athens right now. Like, yeah, do you know why? Like, yeah, so we'll be fine. After Athens, it does 7 nights to Canada out of Boston.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's a good cruise right there. And then I'm looking after that to San Juan.
Yeah, I've never been able to do those, but we heard that they were crazy because they'll do Canada to the Caribbean, and it's Like somebody will say like, dude, it was freezing cold. We were watching, winter and all the leaves change in fall, and then we sailed down, and 2 days later they were like in the Caribbean. So the crew were constantly like, dude, I'm taking jackets out at the beginning of the cruise and getting sunburned at the end of the cruise. So I've heard amazing things about it, but unfortunately never got to experience it. And then it finishes the year with 7 nights in the Southern Caribbean out of San Juan.
Whew, San Juan, a great port.
We talked about it. Yep. So,
so
American territory, relatively easy to get to, but I will say, along the notes, especially during hurricane season, San Juan is constantly out of power.
Yep.
Like the power it's like somebody like a 5-year-old has control of a light switch with San Juan. Like it is either going to be completely flawless or it's going on and off the entire time. So that's also where I think I'd have to knock this down to like a B. BC, just because, yeah.
I think we sit at B. I think a lot of those ports and a lot of those cruises are really good, but there's definitely this is a small ship, and you're not getting a lot done. So we're gonna go B tier for the brilliance. I think you and I unanimously agree on that one.
Yeah.
All right. The enchantment of the seas.
Okay. Enchantment. Down we are at the smallest class. This is Vision class. This thing exclusively does 4 or 5 night Western Caribbean and 5 night Bahamas out of
Tampa. A tier. So, I mean, it's a good ship, and those are good. Dog, 4 and 5 night Caribbean cruises. Those are pretty good.
No,
you can't go A tier for that.
It's so 4 or 5 night. I will go.
That's
B.
a great vacation. Out of Tampa, an easy place to get to for 3 days. You go for a week and you're still back. And it's not even a full week, so you don't even have to take all 5 days off of work. Like, come on.
I give you B. I give you no more than B. Vision class for me is very tough because Vision class is like all portholes. No windows, not a lot of top deck. It's
the beta version of cruising, that's for sure. It's the beta version of modern cruising. That's a fact. I'll give you that.
There's so many. I will say right now, the whole Vision class, the shorter itineraries. Yeah, they're going to a couple islands, stuff like that. But like it's on those, I will truly say like you're on the ship waiting to get to the island. You're not. It's going to be a very tame, relaxed vacation. Like
okay,
you're
that's
chilling.
fair.
So for me, in general, yeah, it could be like B, maybe A, but no. The true feeling for that, this is my idea, that thing's C. Sorry, bud.
I'm going to argue B only because the port is easy to get to and you're going on great cruises. I will argue B for that portion of it. I agree with you. The ship doesn't make it very high. But I'm going to go B.
I mean, that's the whole thing.
What do you say?
That's why.
So BC?
C. I've spoken my piece.
All right. Well, we'll put it on C. Okay. Explorer.
Okay.
So
Explorer back to Voyager class?
Yep. It is a Voyager class, so you're looking at a bigger ship. They have most of your amenities. They're going to have a few different restaurants to eat at. They're going to have a large Royal Theater, parade, 70s night, a flow rider. There's a decent amount going on.
Yeah, things to do. So we're doing beginning of the year 10, 11 nights in the Caribbean out of Miami. This is also stopping in Coco Cay and Labadee. Middle of the year, we're doing 7-night Greek Isles, Adriatic, and Croatia at a BLQ. Venice. Okay, so Venice. Okay, so doing Venice. Great. Venice has all of its own history. Relatively easy to get to for it. Italian means doing a Greek Isles, amazing. And then it goes from Venice.
Okay, it's relatively easy to get to, but have you ever tried to move about Venice with a suitcase that has wheels?
Yes. So that one is, but again, like that's a travel tip in itself.
Yeah.
Of like, where are you going? Like when Jared and I went to Europe, she started packing a big check bag, and I was like, absolutely not. Like, if you can't carry it, we're not bringing it, because roads, traffic, people, crowds, all of the things. You might go from a perfectly paved road to a dirt road to gravel to stairs. Like, you need to be mobile. So if you're like,
Dude,
we're going to Venice and I'm packing a thing, like, yo,
Venice, the whole city is cobblestones. Everybody breaks wheels there. If you, I swear, it is at least once every hour you will see somebody, if you're working Embark there, with a broken wheel trying to come onto the ship. Because they're not designed to roll across cobblestones.
Again, just game awareness. Like, people are like, dude, this thing's the best suitcase in airports. Like, yeah, that is perfectly level tile. Like 16-inch, 24-inch tile. Go drag that even down an asphalt road for a quarter mile, and it's going to just completely rumble apart. But, so it's in Venice, and then it relocates to Port Canaveral, where it does... sorry, I lost it here. 4-night Bahamas, 5-night East Western. So, same thing we talked about. Again, the longer cruises in the Caribbean, like this class, Voyager class of ship, is just big enough to have all the cool amenities to keep you entertained the whole time. I don't know what that is.
That's where I'm putting it. C tier, baby.
C tier? Really? I would go B, but B minus.
C, B minus. I'll agree with a B minus if that was a tier.
I was gonna say B minus, C plus for same realm. Like again, if you find a cheap one, it's B. If it's gonna be like a busy time of the year and it's super expensive, like that's why it's C.
All right. Let's get back to a bigger ship here. We got the Freedom of the Seas. So a Freedom class ship. There's only 3 in this class, and it's the Independence and the Liberty, which we haven't touched yet. This is going to be 6 to 8 night cruises out of Fort Lauderdale in the Caribbean, and then it moves to Miami for 3 and 4 night and 4 and 5 night Caribbean cruises. I think this is pretty simple B to A tier. I think it's low A, high B. I'd give it a B plus, A minus. You?
I will say solid B.
Okay.
No, I concur with that. So, yeah, Caribbean, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, easy. The 3 4 nights and 4 5 nights, those are perfect for, like you said, jumping on for literally, like, these are weekend, midweek cruises. You're on a ship, you're going to go to a cool place or not. It hits up Labadee, Coco Cay. It's got your amenities. You're going things, whether you want a longer Caribbean or you're going to do the short time of the year. I will give you B, no problem on that one.
Could we argue A? I think I could argue A class. I'd give it an A minus. I'd give it an A minus. It does everything perfectly. It does the fundamentals well.
Okay.
Right? Like,
I mean, it's a hot person with kind of a gnarly face, where it's like, yeah, like it's a butterface ship where you're doing everything right, you're just not all of it.
There's not a lot of depth.
No.
But that's why you're only spending 3 nights with her.
Hot person, no personality, or yeah. So all right, I mean, yeah, I'll give you that. It depends. Like, your vacation style, like I said. You're finding any vacation you want. You want a weekend getaway, amazing. Personally, it's B. I think if I was going as a crowd consensus, yeah, I'll give you A.
All right. Bringing it back down to a tiny little ship, the Grandeur of the Seas. So we are going all the way down to the Vision class. Again, very small ship in these. This is going to be 5 9-night cruises out of Fort Lauderdale for the early. It's out of Fort Lauderdale all year round and doing 7 night. I'm going to go B tier, because those cruises aren't bad and it's in the same spot. Fort Lauderdale's a great port.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I've made my notice on it, but yeah, with 5 and 9 night cruises and then week-long Western Caribbean. Yeah, hard to mess up.
That's B tier. And you're going to have fun stuff on the ship. All right.
Not really.
We're going big again. We're going huge. Next is the Harmony. Harmony of the Seas. Where are we going to be at most of the year with the Harmony?
We are your favorite place. We're out of Galveston for Western Caribbean, and then Fort Lauderdale for 6, 7, 8 night Western Caribbean runs the whole year.
Okay, so Galveston, Fort Lauderdale, and 6 to 8 night cruises. Oh, and this ship has literally everything. It has everything you want. Dude, I'm going to... Minus Galveston, I'd say it's an A tier. I'm minus Galveston, it's an A tier.
Again, it's the only Oasis class I haven't been on. So I truly, I'm like, yeah, it's an Oasis class. It's got it all. So
yeah, I'd say A tier. That's what you're going to get from me. The only thing holding it from being an S tier is those 6 weeks in Galveston.
Yeah.
All right, back to the Freedom class. We're going to hit up the Independence of the Seas.
So Indy, like I said, absolutely amazing. This one's doing 4 or 5 nights out of Miami, then crosses to Norway, Hamburg, Rotterdam, Spain, Northern Europe out of STH.
Out of Southampton, baby. Southampton.
Great and I've heard nothing. We joined this ship after it made the crossing back, and our buddies had nothing to boast, or nothing but boasting about it. The itinerary was phenomenal. The ship itself, like we said, it's got just about enough of everything. Again, the shows are dated, but they're still entertaining. And
I was about to say, you're still seeing, the show isn't updated, but you're still seeing world-class entertainers.
Correct. And even people say, like, there have been comments that have said, like, these performers are too good for this show. And it's just, it's on the docket to get those shows updated, and they're working on it. But, again, it's still something to do while you're waiting. And then it finishes the year with 7-night Eastern Western out of Miami. Again, we've done those ports a million times. Really hard to go wrong. Especially if there's a deal, I will give this one solid A. Do not have a problem with it.
Agree with you on that. Don't just book something on here. You're going to have a great time. We completely...
Yeah.
Yep.
A to A plus. Again, super jealous we didn't get the Norway run, but I think Norway run would make it S tier because it's going to so many places.
Yep. And to be honest, I've never heard anybody say a bad thing about the Indy. I have never heard anybody say a bad thing about the Indy ever.
Ping pong was too windy. That's the only bad thing about it.
All right,
but that's all.
It's in there.
There you go. There you go. We'll humble that shit. But no, again, otherwise it is got absolutely everything you need.
All right. Going back to tiny ships, we've got the Jewel of the Seas.
Whoa. Icon, bud.
The icon of the icon classes. Nagy, go ahead and give us a rundown of where this is going to be.
It is 7-night Eastern Western Caribbean out of Miami. That is it. That is its home. That is where it will live. That is all it will do. It's S.
It's S. I can't even argue it. It's got everything you need, and it's 7-day cruises. You're welcome. Enjoy. Have fun. Yeah. Pay for it all. So next, we have the Jewel of the Seas, which is a Radiance class ship.
Again, tons of windows. A lot of the places you're going to see, you're enjoying. Starting out the beginning of the year, favorite place, Galveston. 9 and 10 night Western Caribbean cruises. Then going over to Fort Lauderdale for 3 and 4 night Bahamas and Eastern Caribbean. And finishing up with 7 nights in the Southern Caribbean out of San Juan. So, longer cruises out of Galveston. Tough for you. But, again, I am a fan of the longer cruises because those tiny ships will get in more places. And unlike Vision class, this one is where you're sitting on the ship and enjoying it because of the style of ship. So, I'm putting this thing B+.
You know what? I'll agree with you. B tier. Definitely a B tier. Okay. I'll agree with you.
All right.
I'll agree with you on that one. There wasn't much argument. Moving next, we are into the Liberty of the Seas. So the last of our Freedom class ships for the year.
Correct.
Okay, where are we going?
Going to Coco Cay and Labadee on 10 and 11 night Caribbean cruises. Oh, no, wrong one. 3 and 4 nights to Bahamas out of Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
And transferring to Bermuda, Canada, and Long Caribbean out of BYE, which I believe is Baltimore.
Bayonne, New Jersey.
Oh, Jersey. Oh,
Yeah.
so okay, I'll come back to that in a second, and then back to 3 and 4 nights
Out of Fort Lauderdale.
Out of Fort Lauderdale. So, again, cannot really go wrong with the Freedom class, like we've talked about. I will say Bayonne in Jersey is an underrated port because you get to see the 9/11 tribute
Concur.
from Russia that no one knows about. Other than that, you're in Jersey, don't get off the ship. But,
I'm gonna go A tier. I'm gonna go A tier. I think this is a good group of. I think it's a good group of everything. You know, like
I
there's
concur.
nothing
I would
out of it
concur.
that's gonna stand out. But there's good. You got a
Yeah.
lot of everything. You got all the good right. You know.
yeah. No, I concur.
You go A.
Yeah, that's what concurring is. Yeah.
I think that's all right. Okay.
That's easy to do. I think like easy, I would say soft A because yeah, it's A class. You're not going to go wrong with it. You're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Especially if there's a deal you're hitting it.
Healthy A minus.
Healthy, a very healthy A minus. Yeah, okay, I'll go with that.
All right, Gator.
It's okay. Mariner is D class. 4-5 night Western Caribbean out of Galveston. That's it.
I think it can hit an iceberg.
You can sink it right in Galveston's port and add to it. Yeah,
Just you might as well be better off getting on one of those oil rigs in Galveston, and you'll have a better time.
yeah. Spend your time as a roughneck, then yeah. All right, no problem with that. Now, Navigator, like you said, this is doing exclusively West Coast Mexico out of LA. This is gonna be C.
I agree with you.
Iceberg. C and iceberg, like C minus, because again the ship's good, it's got the stuff, but I do not remember LA fondly. We had a couple bad experiences there, like Galveston style nightmare meltdowns.
Yeah.
Like it took us 6 hours to debark, 6-7 hours to debark on I think the Jewel. So that's 2,000 passengers. Like we get Oasis class 7,000 passengers debarked in 3 hours, and a third of that took 3 times as long because it was LA. It was a nightmare. Mexico, Ensenada is a very interesting one. California is its own thing. Yeah, I mean,
We're just
that
going to
one
leave it at
can
C tier. Move on to the next one.
hit and run.
All right. Oasis of the Seas. So back to the Oasis class ships. Where are we looking at with the Oasis?
Fort Lauderdale all year, 6-8 night Caribbean.
I'm going to go A tier. A or S tier. That's where I would put that.
A minus. I'll give you A minus.
All right,
Just
fair
because
enough.
it's, yeah, you can't mess it up. It's the Oasis class. You're still gonna see amazing things.
If
but
you
again,
don't
just
want to get
dating.
off the ship, there's more than enough shit to do on the ship.
Yeah, still a lot of good things. Sabor. All right, I'll give you A. It's got Sabor still. So
Okay. So A tier. A tier. Okay. That's fair. All right. Ovation of the Seas. So going back to our Quantum class ships.
Yep. So this one they did switch a bit, but this one was doing Australia, New Zealand out of Sydney, Japan, South Korea, China out of TSN, which is Tianjin, and then 4, 5, 6 nights to Penang and Phuket out of Singapore. S tier.
Okay. I agree with
Like,
this. You're not
All
going
of
to screw
those
any of
places
those
are
up.
phenomenal. Yeah, I think. Just side note, like where it's docked in Sydney, it is literally across the pond, like across the water from the Sydney Opera House. You're
Yep.
in between the Sydney Bridge and the Sydney Opera House. Like every time I watch a movie, I literally point and go, I fell down right there, like walking home from a bar, like in every movie. Like, and then Japan, South Korea, China, absolutely phenomenal. And going out of Singapore, insanely easy city. That airport is one of the most incredible airports in the entire world.
Yep.
Like, and it's also in a crazy good city. But when you're like the
And
airport itself is so good.
and it's easy to get there from the airport. You're not like getting in a shuttle bus for 2 hours. It's a what, 15, maybe 30 minutes with traffic? Maybe.
And like even the train systems are so easy that even as a foreigner, I was like, how do we do this? Oh, there's a very simple map in like all languages, and the trains are so efficient and the whole like city's so clean. Yeah. Japan, same thing. Yeah, S tier. Do it, enjoy it, book it. You will never have a bad time.
All right. We have the Quantum of the Seas.
Yeah. So same thing, Australia, New Zealand, but this one is out of BNE, which is Brisbane.
Out of New Zealand.
Okay. So this one doesn't go to Sydney, goes out of Brisbane. Then it spent the spring in 7 nights at Alaska, out of Seattle. Then it did West Coast, Mexico to LA.
Okay.
A tier.
I'm gonna go. I agree. A tier.
Oh, A.
You're not gonna screw it up, but there's
minus.
nothing there that like. Wow. There's no wow factor, and I think that's what keeps it A for me.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like going to Alaska in the Quantum, like I said, Quantum class with everything, just like Radiance class, so many windows and things to see. LA, you know my opinion, but otherwise half the year. So yeah, A plus, S minus.
Yep.
Interesting. Odyssey of the Seas going 7 nights Bahamas out of what was BYE? Bayern. And then 7, 9,
Bayern.
10, 12 night Greek Isles in Turkey out of Rome. And then back to the Bahamas.
All right.
Also stopping in Coco Cay. Yeah, that one newest quantum class. S for sure, especially with that European run.
Okay. Concur. All right. Now the Radiance.
Back to Radiance class, going to Coco Cay on 7 night Caribbeans out of Tampa. Then jumping up to 7 nights Alaska to what was YVR and SYWD. If we just had these ones.
You said YBR? YVR,
YV.
Vancouver and Seaward.
Vancouver.
So Alaska and Vancouver.
Yeah, so Alaska and Vancouver. And then back down to the Bahamas out of Fort Lauderdale for 3 and 4 nights. Again, the Alaska cruise itself puts it at A for me. Radiance class, tougher, so I would say A minus. But
I agree, but even still, yeah, it's in Alaska as long as it can be Alaska. So I guess we'll go A, because you can only be in Alaska a certain amount of year. Yep.
Yeah, and then Caribbean, it's a smaller ship. You got going out of Tampa for ease, going out of Fort Lauderdale on the short weekend benders, so you'll enjoy it.
All right, the Rhapsody of Les Seas.
She lives. It's 7 nights Southern Caribbean out of San Juan, and then 6, 7, 8 night Western Caribbean out of Tampa.
B tier?
C class, C tier. Yeah, just not a lot going on. It's the Southern Caribbean, so you're gonna enjoy it. It's on a small ship, but like I said, the small ships doesn't go to Coco Cay or Labadee. You're going for the islands and things.
See, I agree. All right, the Serenade of the Seas.
Back to Radiance class, we're doing 5 and 9 night Caribbeans out of Tampa, doing the Alaska run, and then I think it went into dry dock because I think she's finally getting an upgrade. So
A tier?
Yeah, I mean, sorry?
A or B?
B minus. B. Nah, B. Because like, at the longer ones, if it's going to Alaska, it's really hard to mess up. But those are, yeah. I will say, we've talked about it, the small ships going to Alaska are not for partiers. You're going
to Alaska. You're going on that ship to visit Alaska.
Yeah. Like, enjoy yourselves in your company. There's no parties. There's not a lot. Like, you're on the boat to get to the crazy places.
All right. The Symphony of the Seas. So we're looking at an Oasis class ship.
Yeah, Ultra Oasis. She's living Coco Cay Labadee with the 7-night Eastern Eastern Caribbean out of Miami. Then 7-night Bahamas out of Jersey.
Ooh.
Then back to 7 Eastern Western out of Miami.
A tier. I don't think
I mean, again,
one
Oasis class, Symphony. You've got all the stuff. Still love being in the parade. All the shows were exquisite.
Do you S that or do you A that?
I will A+ it. I can't give it the full S.
I agree with you. There's something missing, and I can't tell what it is. I feel like there's just
there's so much to do on those ships, but sometimes they are so big that when you're in those Caribbean ports and doing things, you're like, we just dumped 7,000 people on these islands.
The Symphony right now is the Scottie Pippen of cruise ships. It is the greatest two-man that you will ever ask for. That's how I will put the Symphony right now.
Yeah. I will say you could not go wrong with it because there's so much great, amazing things on it, but just not quite the best of the best.
Yep. All right. The Utopia of the Seas.
S-Class, hands down. I mean, this one, nope, I take it. Let me tell you the facts and then you tell me. So it's going to Coco Cay Labadee, 3 and 4 nights to the Bahamas out of Port Canaveral. So
here's the only thing I would say is with it being 3 and 4 night cruises, you got to go A tier because you're not going to be able to experience everything on the ship in 4 days. It's not possible.
That was almost exactly what I was going to say. The ship was so phenomenal that you would almost want to skip the days to keep doing all the stuff on board. The child activity, like Atlas, could be entertained on a full crossing on that ship with 0 problems. But you're going out, you're going to hit Coco Cay, and that is the trip, and it is the weekend party. Like, that's why its thing is the greatest party, like the greatest weekend party there is. And yeah, but it's just you're hitting up those islands and getting off, and you almost will not have the time to experience everything on that amazing ship. So I think that's why, it's too good, and that run is just not quite what it should.
They are shooting themselves in the foot by not making that a 7-day cruise.
So it was a thing. So I've talked to numerous staff and the people about it when we did the crash cruise, and I was like, what is this? 8,000 people for 3 and 4 days, and it's because they're trying to accommodate all those people that only want a short cruise. It's we can't take a whole week off to do this, and that is you were going for the ship. So I was like, I definitely get it, and that would be a ship that I could see people being like, this is our 3rd time on this ship doing this run because we love it so much, and not have a problem with it.
I still need it to be 7 days. On that ship, I need it to be 7 days, dude.
Dude, I would do a crossing on that. I would do a repositioning on that thing. Questions asked.
Yeah, so we're going to say A tier only because it's too good. They shot themselves in the foot by making it a 4-night cruise. Yeah. That's painful. All right.
When Star's another icon, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see which ones they keep at 7 nights and which ones they kind of keep at the 3 and 4s.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The Vision of the Seas.
She is doing Bermuda, Canada, and Long Caribbean out of BWI, which is that's one's Baltimore.
Yep.
So B.
Yeah, I'll go with B. I mean, you're not trying to hang out in Baltimore, that's for sure.
No, I would say this is the B class where you need the drink package because you're on Vision class, but you are going to amazing places, especially with the Long Caribbean run. You are hitting up. You will become the Pirate of the Caribbean, but it's because you're gonna have so much time to get there.
Concur.
You will know every bartender. You will know every cruise staff. You will know you will know all the staff on that ship on a long Caribbean cruise because with a half a sports court, not a lot to do. You're just gonna make new friends. So bring games, enjoy the entirety of the Caribbean. But yeah, I'm going like C. See if you can handle it.
I would go. I would go B only because their actual itinerary you're not going to screw up.
Yeah. But just drink, sit on the port by the pool when it's at
You know what
Honduras.
you're getting
Just
into,
go.
right? Like it's a B. I think it's a B just because it's already got
All right.
like that's where we're at. All right. Voyager of the Seas. So going back down to our Voyager class and the Voyager class, some could say.
The voyages. 4 and 5 nights out of Port Canaveral, then headed up to 7-10 days in Mediterranean, Greek Isles, Barcelona, Athens, Rome. Yeah, I mean, that's everything. Then this one actually says it does about 2 months of just, quote, unique sailings. So, like I said, I think that's just where it's getting chartered out. Like, they have an entire season of charters for it.
Yeah.
And then it actually ends in Australia, New Zealand out of Brisbane. Or, excuse me, New Zealand.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to go with like A to like A
I
on that
agree.
one.
I agree. B or A.
Just because it's like we said, it's all those charters. So if you're looking for that niche cruise, it's probably gonna be on this ship. The European run is phenomenal. It makes it all the way down to Southeast Asia, or excuse me, at least Australia, New Zealand. The South Pacific is what I was looking for. So easy to do and actually be entertained on the ship enough.
Yep. And there's plenty to do as well on that ship. Those ships are very well made. Okay.
Yeah.
The Spectrum of the Seas.
Spectrum is going out of Japan, Vietnam, and China, out of Hong Kong. Nice. And it's doing that all year.
Oh.
So, A, easy. I mean,
Okay.
as an American, I think that would be the hardest thing, just getting.
Yep.
Like, Jared and I have talked about that, of wanting to go visit Asia, and we're just like, it's very hard to get on a 14-hour flight right now to get to Japan or Asia.
I concur.
But once you can manage that, amazing to travel around that part of the world.
I concur. All right. Our last ship, the Wonder of Lacey's.
She is chilling, going to Coco Cay and Labadee on 7-night East Western Caribbean out of Canaveral, and then 3 and 4 night Bahamas out of Miami.
That sounds
Like,
pretty S to
A,
me.
yeah, A to S. I would
I'd
just
give it
say
S
like
on that. On an Oasis class ship, that's S. That's
it's really hard to like, I have to just be a complete pessimistic asshole to,
you're
especially with
finding
the
things
Wonder.
to point out that are wrong.
Yeah, like unnecessarily, just because those ships are so. It's really hard to mess those up. Like, you just can't on the newer ones. Oasis, the only thing going against is that it's dated. Other than that, it's like, dude, it's hard to complain when everything's at your fingertips. You go get a hot dog, go watch Cirque du Soleil, and then you're in Cozumel. Like, dude, what?
like that's not a bad day.
Yeah, the only thing that hates you is like your gut of like, like, what are you doing? But yeah, no, the Wonder was the ship we did on like our baby moon, and I was blown away. They are just so nice. They are just crushing it. So yeah, S tier for sure of just the things you can do with those things.
I concur. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all your ships for you. That's all of them in the fleet and where you should go.
And
we have a few.
Really easy to throw a dart and still have a good time on any of them.
Majority of our ships actually ended up in the A tier. Our 5 S tier ships are Anthem, the Icon, the Ovation, the Odyssey, and the Wonder. So I think those are all solid choices. And then obviously the Mariner can hit an iceberg. And yeah. I don't. You know what, guys? We'll find a place for the crew. We'll find a home for you. All right. Well, but I think we can all agree that ship can go back into dry dock, and none of us will be offended.
Yeah. Stink it, turn it into a coral reef.
Yeah. Anything else you want to give the people on the tier list?
Like, again, these are our opinions, and we base it on as many factors as we can to give you the best idea of what it is. So, grain of salt, blast the ocean in the face, but you can have a good time out there.
There's your crew opinion, ladies and gentlemen. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Ciao.